Welcome to Leaders of Tomorrow, the only show on Indian television where you, the MSME, get center stage to voice your opinions and thoughts. This is ET Now's special daily initiative to give MSMEs and entrepreneurs the opportunity to be front and center in every industry and area that matters to you. Tonight, we're bringing you a voice from Schindler, Uday Kulkarni, president of Schindler India and South Asia, in this exclusive conversation with my colleague Pooja Jain. Take a look.
So I'd like to dive right in. What sort of growth has the Indian elevator and escalator market experienced, and what are some of the biggest drivers behind this growth?
Okay, let's separate the elevator and escalator into two parts. Elevator normally is a function straight of the real estate, and real estate has been growing last 2 years in the range of around 6 to 7%. So it's always a direct proportion of that. Coming to the escalator market, there are two kinds of escalator market. One is which is related to the real estate, and other which is related to the infrastructure. Unfortunately, the real estate market, which we call most famously like shopping malls and all, had not been growing great in the last 2 years. Before that, they had grown quite much. But the infrastructure, which is airports, metros, you must be seeing practically every city is having metros coming up. They are growing in a big way, but they are actually controlled completely by the government. They're all government organization. The growth there can be to the level of around today, for the Indian purpose calculation, it's around 14%, because we have around 25 cities coming up with metros. So that is where more of the escalators go in, and there are also quite a few airports, small ones as well as big ones coming up. That's if that answers your question on the growth rate.
30% of India's population currently resides in our cities, and this figure is projected to touch 40% by the year 2030. What sort of opportunity does that present to you at Schindler, and how are you tapping into it?
The growth of the cities, see, the cities are growing in two stages. One are the tier 1 and tier 2 cities, where the real estate is selling at 3,000 plus per square feet, can economically afford to have the automatic doors, and Schindler is only in the business of automatic doors. While the tier 3 cities, where the real estate many times is less than 3,000 square feet, the economics do not allow them to go in for the automatic, they go in for the manual doors. And India is in fact the only country where you will find manual doors like the the collapsible gates and the swing doors, which probably you see used to see in Mumbai once upon a time, but no more there. So we normally don't touch that market for safety reasons. We feel manual doors are not really safe enough for Indian people. They tend to be adventurous, especially the children when they're playing in the lobbies. So as a policy, we do not touch them. In addition to that, we are also working with the government to see whether they can look at the safety aspect and ensure the manual doors somehow are not really in the market, because they are very unsafe to the children who are playing in the lobbies of the buildings.
Broadly speaking, is the elevator and escalator industry quick to embrace innovation, and how do you ensure that technology is at the forefront of what you do here at Schindler?
The real estate developers who are there in the Indian market are, most of them are exposed globally a lot. They travel across various countries in the world, and they look at kind of elevators, high-tech elevators, high-speed elevators across, which actually has forced the elevator industry, allowed many of the European, Japanese, even some of the American manufacturers to come. And the last 15 years has seen a huge revolution in the elevator industry in terms of technology. Now, technologically, there are two things. One is which are visible to the eyes of the customer, and other is which is felt by the customer. So let's talk about what is felt by the customer. Once upon a time, you must have been traveling in elevators which start with a huge jerk. Today, you don't see those jerks anywhere, which is what was the first introduction happened in technology, that is the variable frequency technology. Most of the controllers have practically 100% of the controllers for all the suppliers have moved to variable frequency. This also had an added advantage of power savings. Power is one of the important parameters in any operational costs. So the powers can be saved to the extent of around 30%. The electrical bills or electricity bills can be slashed to 30% because of this technology. Then came in the kind of a ride comfort. Initially, there are still, but initially there were rope-driven elevator. 100% elevators were rope-driven. Schindler came in first way back in 2008 with a belt technology, which is a very firm grip for the car, which gives a better ride comfort. This is the second part. Then moved definitely in cities like Mumbai, Bangalore, the buildings were going vertical up. So you have many buttons in the elevator. So when you enter the elevator, you take some time to look at which floor do you want to go to and search for the button. It's a response time, right? You take, which is at the cost of the other people probably in the elevator or maybe waiting outside. So DCS, which is popularly known as, the full form of that is Destination Control System, where you can select the elevator right from the lobby. Like if you have a card or you probably press a number which is given by the security people, because most of the buildings today are having the security number. You press, you straight away get the number of the elevator. You just go and stand, get in, then you just got to concentrate on when the floor is coming, just get down. So you don't really have to press any buttons, or no buttons are available for getting to the floor. So it saves a lot of time. It's exactly what is known as a zoning, or you must be seeing with our local trains in Mumbai. You have the fast trains, slow trains, so the zoning is done. So that was the biggest technology which saved a lot of time, waiting time at the lobbies, which is a really sometimes irritating factor for commercial buildings.
How vital and how cost effective is it to create elevators that are energy efficient?
It's very important, because that's today need of just not the business but need of the society, because we need to save a lot of power. So what I mentioned to you as variable frequency saves the power to the extent of 30%. Just to explain how it works, whenever an elevator starts, the initial elevators which were there in the market used to take a huge starting current. So that starting current is practically reduced to by nearly around 50%. So summation of the electricity which is consumed by elevator is saved average to around 30%. This is the first part, which was very important. Then came in which were called as the regen drives. The regen drive means whenever the elevator is coming down, there's a gravitational force. So there is an opportunity of saving a lot of electricity, and this can be stored. But unfortunately, in India, not many of these people are really using this to a great extent. Even if the elevator manufacturer gives you a regen drive, this regen drive, whatever electricity is saved, has to be used in common facilities like say lobby lightings, or some kind of things which are having the common facilities in the building, for which a grid has to be put by the main supplier of the substation or whoever is doing the electric wiring in that building. But many of them don't do that because it is a huge investment in the initial stages. But things are changing now. Many of these buildings which go in for the rating, they do go in for that, but it's still not caught up in a big way.
So this is a competitive landscape. That said, post-installation, how important is it to have robust service and maintenance programs in place?
All the elevators which are installed normally are of a reputed brand. But after the installation, there are many things which needs to be taken care of. In a residential or a commercial buildings, from the time the elevator is installed till the time people start occupying, the period can be 3 months to practically 1 year. It depends on what it is. During this period, the kind of usage of the elevator has to be controlled in a big way. You have workers using the elevator, you have workers carrying some kind of debris in the elevator, and electronics of the elevator can be adversely impacted because of this. So during this period, a proper care has to be taken, not only in keeping the dust cleaned at a regular interval, but also protecting some of the good parts of the elevator which can lead to the damage. This period is very, very critical, and many times there are controversies with the developer, with the facility agency, like you're not protecting this should be taken care of, but it's a very, very important period. Once that is done and handed over to the actual user of the building, it can be the residents or whoever, then it's a matter of annual maintenance contract, which is done by most of the suppliers. Ideally, most of the suppliers give 1 year of free service, but after that there is a regular maintenance done every month of all the components which are really required to be serviced. It is also called the oil and greasing part of it. Plus there is also amount of housekeeping done, because many people use the elevators, it has to be cleaned, otherwise dust can have a adverse impact on the performance of elevator. But that is also done once a month. So average once a month technical maintenance, once a month housekeeping. So for a normal elevator, every month regular. In addition to that, there are callbacks. The callbacks can be generated because of a power supply related issue. Let's say electricity goes off, the man can get trapped in the elevator. So that's the time the elevator people come and immediately rescue that. We normally in a city claim around 20 minutes to 30 minutes max, but we do in a city like Mumbai, average time is around 5 to 10 minutes to rescue. And that point of time, whenever the power supply goes off, we do have what is known as auto rescue device, but sometimes some elevators do not have auto rescue device. That time he has to be physically rescued till the power supply comes back. So there is a maintenance team 24/7 available, and also many a times the people have to be available at beck and call of the customer, because sometimes some damages can take place in the elevator.
Time for a break here on the Crux on Leaders of Tomorrow, but much more on the other side, to stay tuned. Welcome back with us here on Leaders of Tomorrow, and tonight on the Crux, Pooja Jain catches up with Schindler to talk about how the market in India for elevators and escalators is changing. Take a look.
What are some of the existing partnerships that you have in place and projects in the pipeline that you can tell us more about?
Okay, Schindler normally is dealing with more than 30 to 50% of the major developers in the country. They are the people who buy the new elevators, right? At certain point of time, once we do that project, we hand over the elevators to the society. Then the customer changes. So society can be either a residential society or it can be a facility management in a commercial complex. But with the main developer, we have a relationship of handling projects right from their planning stage. Because what they are marketing is also important in what they are going to buy as a type of elevator. Because elevator can be, just to give you an analogy of that, it can be a Maruti Alto to a Maruti Vitara, all kinds of elevators. So depending on what they are wanting, what are their marketing plans, what is it they are giving to their customer. So we sit on the drawing board from the time the architect plans is, we sit with the owner, because owner has his own ideas and own dreams. We try to live their dreams by giving him the right product, recommending the right product, and obviously at that point of time he also has budgets in place. He says, no, I want it in this budget. So all that planning is done with him right from the scratch, and we partner right through the end. And if he's comfortable, then we have a relationship which we call as a long-term relationship. Many times he says, I got a budget project, maybe I don't think you'll be able to do it. It's fair enough. We say, fine, we'll we don't want everything, so we will be where you are comfortable with us. So that's a relationship we have with all our customers.
Sir, your thoughts on GST and how it will impact Schindler going forward?
Okay. Schindler, as I told you, is a relatively, it's a 17-year-old company compared to the older ones which are more than 30, 40 years old. Elevator people, for the high-speed elevators, today the 2.5 meters is the maximum speed where we can manufacture in the country. But beyond that, especially a city like Mumbai and Bangalore, where the rise is higher, it goes beyond 2.5 meters per second. So these elevators till today were imported directly from either Schindler factory from China or Switzerland. Now, which means the customer used to buy in dollars from them and we used to install them. With the GST coming in, we will be able to offer that in rupees, which means the customer's foreign exchange outflow is saved to a great extent. GST is actually rolled out just a few days back, and we expect a very nominal savings of around 2.5 to 3% depending on the product configuration. But Schindler being a company which is bound by a code of conduct, we are going to live with the government's kind of directive that there will be no profiteering because of this change. So the benefit will be more to the customer than Schindler, and we are going to pass on all the benefits coming out of the GST to the market.
Well, how closely do you work with these state governments, and are there collaborations in the cards that you can tell us more about?
Okay, I'll put this answer in three parts. One is the government is our customer. So for all the government buildings, we do work with them, right like with the other customers from the planning stage. So many of these government architects are very closely associated with us, and we also help them when the standards with the Bureau of Indian Standards, the lift inspector standards, we also help them in the technical specifications, the changes in the technology which is happening in the elevators, what's happening in Europe, they would like to really know. So we say, yes, this is happening in Europe, probably you can do it here. So that's the second part of it. The third part of it is, which is associated more with our factory. With our factory, we would deal with Maharashtra. Our factory is in Maharashtra, so we deal with the MIDC persons. We deal with a lot of agencies like environmental clearance. So that is a little different ball game because more related to the factory than with the product. And now Schindler has gone in a big way with the infrastructure. So all the government organizations, like from Delhi Metro to Mumbai Metro, like today practically across the country we have executed nearly around 7 metros, and recently we got a big order for Nagpur Metro. So we are very much associated with all the government agencies who are actually infrastructure agencies, I would say. So we are doing a good business in that also.
By the year 2030, 70 of our country's cities are supposed to exceed a population of 1 million individually. Do you view that as a challenge or an opportunity?
I think it's an opportunity which actually, if we take all of it, it's going to be a challenge. So we are going to try and take a lion's share of it, but definitely not at the cost of not executing to the satisfaction of the customer, because Schindler product is very popular today for whatever reasons. We have got machine room-less, gearless elevators, and if you have ever seen our touch button, we are the only people who make touch button in the car or even outside, while other people are all push buttons. So we are very popular on that. At the same time, once you get the project, it's very, very important to be executed. And getting the right people in the industry is a big challenge. So the challenge part is related to the people rather than the material, and obviously people means the execution of the project. So we are going to do the best to take the opportunities, but at a rate where we can execute to the satisfaction of the customer.
Any words of wisdom for entrepreneurs looking to enter this space?
Actually, my personal opinion on this is elevator is a business which needs a lot of capital investment. But there are certain products, the low-cost products which are coming up in industry, they can try at it. There are in fact some companies who are doing that, but have not been doing a very, very good job, because the amount of investment which is required to put up an elevator factory, and also the investment in the people does not come, I would say, today in the category of MSMs and the small timers. It's a big technology, but I would suggest they can definitely try a hand at it on the services, annual maintenance contract, or probably working with the big players in the industry by supplying them certain amount of components which are required, because elevator consists of more than 1,000 components, right? So they can be partners, or we call them vendors with the elevator industry, and add value to the whole industry. That's what I would recommend. We do that when we come up with the factory. We have more than around, I think, 100 people in the small scale industries who supplies us different components.
And sir, for our viewers, if you could please share the best career advice that you've ever received.
Best advice, I think you have to run a business with a mind and a heart. Mind for taking business decision, and heart when it comes to handling the people. So having a right combination at that situation, I think is something which, if you can do it to a great extent, it's a success formula.
Completely out of time on this episode of Leaders of Tomorrow. If you have anything that you want to say to us, you have any feedback on the show, you can always write in at leadersoftomorrowtimesgroup.com. On social media, tweet at us at LOT_ET now, or my personal Twitter handle Sunanda_J. On Facebook, we're at Leaders of Tomorrow on ET now, or call us on that number you see on your screen. We love hearing from you. Thanks very much for watching. Have a good night.